To start the process of filling the jars, the first step is to gather the individual jars onto an assembly. When the jars are filled in the holes, the empty jar is going to rotate, which is powered by a 20-volt engine. The moment that the jar arrives to the well-filled hole, it gets a little fall of 10 centimeters. A mechanical arm is activated to grab the jar which has fallen into the hole by following a pre-programmed pathway to ensure the accurate placement for the pick and drop. When the jar is filled, the mechanical arm drops it on the limit switch, which sends a signal to the pneumatic cylinder that pushes the filled jar away to the separate room for the filled jars, and this process repeats itself.
My name is Selman, and in this video I will be explaining the working principle of my stockroom. First, the jar slowly slides down. At the very end of this slide there is a switch sensor. If the jar touches this sensor, some components will be automatically activated. First, the door mechanism will be activated. This door mechanism is necessary to keep the jars in a certain order. When the door mechanism is activated, the jar slowly moves forward. At this very moment, the pneumatic cylinder is activated. This pneumatic cylinder pushes the jar forward. After that, the jar comes to a lift mechanism. At this point, the robotic arm will grab the empty jar and bring it filled. When the filled jar comes to the end, another pneumatic cylinder pushes the filled jar to the second storage, which is designed for the filled jars.
Alright, now it's the position table here. Um, it all begins with the DC motor over here, which is connected with bolts and nuts to the intermediate plate. The DC motor starts rotating, and there's a rope over here which goes to the pulleys, and the pulleys are connected with bolts and nuts to the pulley holder over here. The rope runs over the pulleys, and the rope is attached to the cart right here and right here. As the DC motors starts running, the cart will also move, and the DC motor stops when the limit switch over here, which is also connected with bolts and nuts, touch the extension of the rails. So that's the point the DC motor stops running. And when the limit switch is pressed, the pneumatic cylinder in the cart will also run. You can see it here. There's a worm gear attached to the pneumatic cylinder, which touches the gear right here, which is attached to the rotary axis. And the pneumatic cylinder knows when to stop when the limit switch is pressed by the next extension of the rails, as you can see here. So everything stops running when the limit switch is touched, and everything will starts running when the limit switch is touched, and that's everything for the position.
With this animation I'm going to show you how the design for the capper machine works. So when the jar gets brought in, it gets detected by the limit switch, then the entire mechanism comes down and the cap gets held in place by the clamp at the end of the pneumatic cylinder. When the wheels spin, the jar is opened, and when the open jar comes back in, it basically does the opposite. So it comes back down, the cap gets turned so the jar is closed, it gets released, the mechanism goes up, and the jar can be removed. So here you can see a little close-up of how the cap is held in place by the clamp. So here you see the pneumatic cylinder extend. Now the cap is being spun. it gets released by the pneumatic cylinder and a jar can go out.
My name is Romy Cespedes and I'm gonna explain the filling station. The moment the gripper with the jar pushes against the limit switch, the DC motor starts to work. The M&Ms will go into the stockroom. There's a bigger gear with a hole in it that will start to move. The moment it reaches the M&Ms will go through it into the funnel, and through the funnel it will go into the jar. And that's the end of my explanation of the filling station.